So hi guys, so welcome back to our new math tutorial. So today we'll be learning how to solve quadratic equations by factoring. So there are many ways for us to solve quadratic equation by factoring. There are many types of factoring methods. Now, the first thing that we need to consider when solving quadratic equation by factoring is your quadratic equation must be factorable, because we cannot apply the factoring method if your quadratic equation is not factorable. Okay? Now, the moment you know that your quadratic equation is factorable, the first thing that you need to do is to write your quadratic equation in a standard form. And definitely, the standard form of quadratic equation is ax plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay? Where the left side must all of the terms and the right side will be 0. So, okay. Now let's go ahead and try example number 1. So we have 4x squared minus 12x is equal to 0. Now, as you can observe, we have here the quadratic term and then the linear term. So the missing term here is the constant or c. So if that's the case, class, it means that we cannot apply the FOIL method and the special product or etc. because the only thing that we can apply here is the greatest common monomial factoring, or the GCF. All you have to do is to find the GCF in terms of coefficient and its variable. Now, the first thing that we need to do is to find this GCF, greatest common monomial factor. What is the greatest common monomial factor of your quadratic equation in terms of constant, coefficient, and variable? So first, 4 and 12. What is their common? Their common here is positive 4, because 12 is a factor of 4, and yeah, that's their common, or the greatest common monomial factor. Now, how about their variable? They have x squared and x, so therefore their common there is x. Now, the next step that we need to find is the remaining to get the remaining factor after you taken out the greatest common monomial factor. And to do that, all you have to do is to divide your original equation to the GCF, or the greatest common monomial factor. So 4x squared divided by 4x, this will give you as x, followed by negative 12x. Negative 12x divided by 4x, this will give you negative 3x. Negative 3. It's negative 3. Negative 3. Ayan. So if you have your greatest common monomial factor and you have already your remaining factor, all you have to do is to write the factored form of this example. So you have 4x times x minus 3 is equal to 0. So again, in this part, we just need to combine them and write them into a factored form. So you have 4x times x minus 3 is equal to 0. Now, the next step here, if you have already the factored form of your quadratic equation, the next step that you need to do is to equate both factors to 0. So we have two factors here. We have 4x and then we have x minus 3. Those are two factors of your quadratic equation. Okay? Again, apply the zero product property. Equate both factors to 0. So you have 4x is equal to 0, followed by x minus 3 is equal to 0. And all you have to do is to solve for x by applying AP or MP. For this one, the first value of x, so you just need to divide both sides by 4. So you can cancel this. X is equal to 0. Now you have your first value of x. Now next is to find the second value of x. So you just need to transpose negative 3. So you can have x is equal to positive 3. So therefore, the values of x are, or the roots of the quadratic equations are, x is equal to 0 and 3. Now, Let's move on to example number 2. For example number 2, we have x squared minus x plus 15 is equal to 0. Now this time, this is a trinomial. This is a trinomial. Okay. This part here is actually easy because all you have, especially if the numerical coefficient of a is equal to 1, so there's no complication. The only thing that we need to do here is to find the two numbers whose product is 15, and the sum, if you add the two numbers, it will give you negative 8. Okay, remember, if it's a trinomial, it is a product of two binomials. Okay, now what are the first term of your two binomials? You just need to get the factors of x squared, which are x times x. Now the next step is to, what are the two numbers? If you multiply, it will give you 15. We have here like 3 times 15, and we also have 15 times 1. So those are the factors of 15. We have 3 times 15 and we have 15 times 1. And remember, our goal is to give us a sum of negative 8. So among these two factors, 3 and 15, and we have 15 and 1, the only factor that it will give you 8, which is 3 times 15. Now take note of the sign. Remember, if the sign of the last term is positive, it means that the two numbers must be the same sign. Now your sign will be based on the middle term, which is negative. It means that you are multiplying two numbers with a negative sign. So we have here negative 3 and negative 15. Okay, so we have x minus 3 times x minus 15 is equal to 0. Since it's already in a factored form, not 15, I'm sorry, this is not 15, this is supposed to be 5 minus 5. Yeah, so x minus 3 x minus 3 times x minus 5. Okay, and so x minus 3 times x minus 5, and since it's already in a factored form, you just need to equate both factors to 0. X minus 5 is equal to 0. Then solve for x. X is equal to 3, then x is equal to 5. That's your final answer. Now let's move on to the third example. For third example, so we have x squared is equal to 3x plus 18. Now remember what I told you earlier, that the first goal when applying the factoring method is to write your quadratic equation in the standard form. As you can observe, example number 3 is not yet in a standard form. Therefore, there is a need for us to transform this into standard form. Basically, we just need to transpose every term inside in the right side of equation to the left side to make the right side of equation as 0. So you just need to transpose that. So you have x squared minus 3x minus 18 is equal to 0. Okay, now just need to get the two numbers whose product is negative 18 and their sum is 3. Okay, so factors of x squared, so we have x times x. So what are the factors of negative 18? The factors of negative 18, it can be 3 times 6, and we also have 9 times 2, and we also have 18 times 1. Okay, so remember, our goal here is to get the product as negative 18, so these are the factors, but the sum must be equal to negative 3. Okay, as you can observe, the most likely factor that we can use here is 3 times 16. Okay, because if you subtract this it will give us a negative 3. Unlike with 9 times 2, it will not give us negative 3. At the same time, 18 times 1 will not give us negative 3. Okay, since the last term is negative, it means that we are multiplying numbers that has different sign. Okay, now since 6 is the greatest value among the factor, therefore 6 will carry the sign of the middle term. So this will become negative 6 followed by positive 3. Okay, if you multiply negative 6 times positive 3, that's negative 18. If you add them, the answer is negative 3. So the factors are now correct. And next is to apply the zero product property. Equate both factors to 0. And definitely solve for x. So we have x is equal to 6 and we have x is equal to negative 3. Now let's go ahead and try example number 4. Example number 4, we have x squared plus 4x minus 5 is equal to 0. So again, this is a product of two binomial. The factors of x squared is x times x. Now, what are the two numbers? If you multiply them, the sum is, the product is negative 5 and the sum is positive 4. Those two numbers are positive 5 times negative 1. If you add 5 times negative 1, this will give you negative 5. And if you add these two, this will give you as positive 4. So this will be the second term of our binomials. We have plus 5 here and we have minus 1. That's it. The next step that you need to do is to equate both factors to 0. Apply the zero product property. Okay, so x minus 1 is equal to 0. So therefore, x is equal to negative 5. Then you have x is equal to 1. That will become your final answer. That's it. That's how you answer quadratic equation by factoring. So we have the greatest common monomial factoring followed by the two binomials or the FOIL method. Okay, I guess that's all for this video and I'll see you to the next one. Bye.